loop. Now we're going to talk about the for loop. The for loop, like I said, is a count controlled loop. So it's set up a different way than a while loop. So we're going to use the keyword for, and then we need to initialize a variable. So I'm going to say for count in range, and let's say 5. And then I'm going to print hi. So what this is going to do is it's going to print hi 5 times. And there we go. So instead of like the while loop where it just kept going, this is telling it when to stop. So this is the basics of a for loop. We can still do the same things that we do in a while loop, just with the for loop. So I can have it, if I do, if I write count right here, it will actually count for us. But now if you notice, it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's still displaying 5 numbers, but it's not counting at 1. In computers, they start with 0. 0 is the first number, so it can get kind of confusing. So if I wanted to include 1, I would put a 1 here. But now if I run this, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Why doesn't it not include 5? Well, because it does not include the last number. So if we wanted to include 5, we would have to put +1, or we could just write 6. And then now it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this is important to know. So if we want the user to specify this information, which we can, I can put, say, start equals int input, enter a starting number, and then I'm just going to copy this and change it ending number. So if I say start, and then here if I write end, because assuming we want the user end number to also be included, then we want to, that's why we would put that +1. So if I run this, enter a starting number, let's say 7, and then I want to end at 15. So it's going to count 715 for me. Nice. Now we can also do one more thing right after this. This is called the increment or the step counter, so it can tell it how many times I want it to count by. So if I put, let's say 5s. So if I run this, let's say I want to start at 5. There we go. And I will end at 100. It's going to count by 5s. And so the user can also change this. So I'm going to call this increment. Enter an increment. So let's say 7, 100, and I want to count by 7s. Okay, for some reason it's not liking, because I don't have increment declared. That would be a big thing. So 7, 100, count by 7s, and there we are. So we can do a little bit more in this. So we can display names, we can do literally anything we can think of with for loops. So here we can do, and show you how it would work, is I'm going to delete this increment because we're just going to leave it by the default of counting by 1. And then I'm going to say print number /t square. We're going to have it display a number and it's square. So like 1 squared is 1, etc., etc. And then now I'm going to go comma quote /t comma count times count, because I want it to or actually, let's do it a little different. I'm going to call this square. I'm going to change this to say num. And then we're going to say square equals num to the power of 2. Run it. Enter a starting number. Let's just say I want to start at 1 and end at 20. Okay. So I can put another /t in here to make it look kind of better. 120. There we go. And then now you see it just is squaring the number. So this is a way we can do a quick for loop. We can also do within for loops, and this is where it's important. Think of like a cash register where the user is scanning objects, and what's happening on the cash register, it's keeping a total. So to keep a running total, so we're going to learn how to running total. So inside of a running total, there is something called an accumulator. And an accumulator is just another fancy name for running total. Okay, so we're just going to say total equals 0.0. This is our accumulator. And then we're going to have the user enter in 5 numbers. So we're going to say print this program calculates the sum of 5 numbers. Okay, so I'm going to say for count in range 5. I'm going to say number equals int input enter a number. And then here I'm going to say total equals total plus number, because I want to add the number that the user entered to our total. Then after this for loop, I want to print the total is, and I want to print the total, comma, total. So if I run this, I'm going to enter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I get 15. Because what it did was it did 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Now, we can simplify line 7 by doing what is called using an augmented assignment operator. So it sounds very scary, but all it is, you see how this line is written right here? Total equals total plus number. We can rewrite that line to say total plus equals number. And what this is doing, if you watch, if I run this again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it still gives me 15. Because all this line is saying is that total is on both sides of the equal sign, and we're adding number to it. So we can also do this the same thing with times, well, with multiplication, division, subtraction. We can do it all. And that's how we use the augmented assignment operator. And that is the basics of a for loop. In our next video, we're going to learn about sentinels and how to validate user input.